We completed all the seeker requirements. We no sooner submitted it and got them to confirm that we had a completed application, but they extended the deadline to June 20th and upped the amount by $1 million. Al and I kind of made a quick executive decision that ours was in and we weren't going to do any more with it. Because even though they gave us a 2-month extension, it would have been tough for us to go through the council process, to go through your process, the council process, and expand the project and get estimates. So we decided not to do it.
So what was the previous cap?
It was $2 million or 60% of the total project cost, capped at $2 million, not to exceed $2 million. Now it's $3 million. So, it's okay. I mean, if we're successful, I'll be happy. I'd be happier if I had more, a little bigger, but it is what it is. If we aren't successful this year, we can always rejigger it then and reapply at the higher amount for next year, because it's a 3-year cycle.
And this is the first year of the 3-year cycle?
This is the second year.
Second year.
This is the second year, so next year obviously is the last year. So, and I think the city's doing something on the sewer side with this as well.
And when do we expect any notification of?
Al, they mentioned that even though they extended the deadline, they'd be turning this around ASAP.
Yes,
Can't really tell us.
they are making noises if they're going to do it quicker than they have in the past. So my thought is that we should be hearing something by early fall.
Yeah, see, at the June 20th deadline, my idea of quick would be like mid-August, but I don't think they talked to me about that. You're probably right.
Fall is more reasonable.
Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. Yeah.
And this is we submitted, this was work on the transmission lines and the additional line to go up to Binny Water?
Yes, that's in
Valves and stuff.
valves in the town of Kingston area, work at the foot of Binny Water there at the valve exchange, new influent and effluent mains, redundant mains coming out of Binny Water, and the relining of the 18-inch transmission main above the plant that we have taken out of service because of the water hammer that blew the joints back in July. So yes.
Okay. See what happens in the fall. Foxhall Pump Station generator.
We're on track. I just talked to Jim Carey today. I've gotten his the proposal that we discussed to reduce the cost because of changes we made. We discussed that at last meeting. I got that actually in writing from him, so now I can acknowledge that in writing, and he's proceeding with the work order with Central Hudson to get the gas line in there.
Okay, so we are going to go with natural gas.
Yep. Yep.
And we're going to, the modification was the
Instead
or something?
Instead of a stainless steel transfer switch, which is great if the transfer switch is out in the weather, ours is going to be in the building, and so they went with the standard materials. And he went with higher RPMs on the motor, because even though that will shorten the life of the generator slightly, the understanding is there's very rarely, if ever, a power outage at that location because of the way Central Hudson is configured there. All in all, that will result in a $7,000 savings on the initial bid of $49,000 and change, bringing it down to $42,600, I think it is. And that will almost make up for the cost that Central Hudson will be charging us to bring the line. So.
And when do you think this will all be completed?
It has to be completed by the end of July.
Okay.
unless we give them an extension. And the extension on the
Give a
contract.
race an extension.
What?
Yeah. Give
A race and extension. And at this point, the only way I would see that would be plausible is if, you know, it rains for the next God knows how many days, or Central Hudson is delayed in getting the line.
Well, yeah, that's my concern, is Central
That's the
Hudson.
big, we have no control over that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, if they come back and say Central Hudson can't get it done until,
September, that's it.
you know, we'll just wait until that gets done.
Joe Landy in Central Hudson understands that I have a July deadline. I didn't tell him it was at all flexible.
Okay.
That's it. If he watches this, he may figure that out.
Phase 1B filter plant renovations?
We're back on track. Media's been delivered, under drains will be delivered. I was out there on Monday with the mayor giving him a tour, and Dave Cupp from Roberts, their supervisor, was there. And so the holdup was Roberts is having some internal, the way they usually like to do this is Roberts Underdrain, the manufacturer of the underdrains, does the installation. And they're having some labor issues, and they are delayed. And so we've made a lot of noise that, you know, we're a long-standing customer. You promised us we'd have delivery by May, work with, and so Dave was there and chatting with the contractor, and with OCS, and he is very comfortable, it seems, supervising OCS to do the installation, which would be, you know, the full warranty from Roberts would still be intact. He said they do that when they meet contractors that they feel have the capability and the integrity to do that, and so he feels, after watching their work and seeing what they're doing, that they are more than capable of carrying out the install.
Does that change the payment out of monies to either Roberts or?
I believe that there'll be a net zero to us, but yes, you know, what we would have paid Roberts is now got to go to OCS, but we won't see any difference to us. It won't cost us any more. That's an internal thing that Tom is working out the paperwork with.
Is that something we're going to have to eventually approve as a?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a change order, a negative change order for Roberts and a positive one for OCS, and, you know, it would be a net.
Okay, anything else on that?
Nope. They're installing the air scour while we're waiting for Robert's decision, so that was good.
And when's Roberts going to make this decision? Do they know?
It may already be made.
Yeah.
I mean, it's imminent. I haven't spoken to them since, you know, Monday when I ran into them.
But are the drains themselves constructed, manufactured?
They haven't been delivered, but they are. Yeah, they're
just
ready to rock.
Shipping them over and then having
Right.
OCS install them.
Right, under Dave's supervision. You know, it's rare. One of the you're working in a confined space, so it's rare to have contractors that have that confined space training that are capable of doing it. OCS certainly does.
Cooper Lake improvements.
I have nothing.
Nothing there. I guess we need to set up a meeting now. We talked about sending letters out to.
And you were gonna get, I know you've been busy, but you're gonna.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I have, what I have is
Okay.
the draft that I proposed, and you had some changes.
Well, I mean, my changes are really.
Okay, then I'll just send that out, that's fine.
Yeah, you can go ahead and send them out.
That's what I didn't know how substantive they were.
No.
I'll do that. I can do that.
And there was a second letter, draft.
There's a Water Resources Act of 2016 that's being in the U.S. Senate, and I did send a letter to Senators Gillibrand and Schumer through the website, you know, basically, essentially using much of the language that Greg had used in his letter, but adding some specifics about, you know, what it would mean if we were able to fund these projects under DWSRF as opposed to a regular municipal bond. The cost savings would be, you know, pretty substantial for us, for our ratepayers.
And then we're going to follow up maybe with an actual meeting on the first letter with the local
That would be great.
Okay. I guess the first step is to get it out, see if we get a response back from them. If not, then we'll follow up with a call and
Okay.
set up a meeting, or at least the mayor and some people from the board.
Yeah, to see, meet with Senator Cahill and
And who's the
Senator
senator?
Amador.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Treatment plant wash tower.
It's done and it's online.
Right.
And the old one is down. It's a beautiful thing. They took it
Yeah, I gotta get
down.
up there. I haven't.
They took it down in 2 days.
It's easy to demolish things.
Yeah, but you know, you're demolishing this thing that's 60 feet in the air and it's next to something.
It's all metal too,
It was
right?
just amazing the way they got it all down, as quickly as they did.
You could just lean against it, couldn't you?
Maybe. We could have.
Didn't show up from the pile out there at IBM, did it?
Watch that.
You never know.
Listen, the town of Ulster got tagged by the EPA for taking junk cars from Ruby to Newburgh when Consolidated went under and the EPA did a Superfund site down out there. So you don't ever want to admit where that tank went.
I have no idea where it went.
That's right.
I have no idea.
It will be recycled, I'm sure.
And we purposely did not, we were offered the opportunity if we wanted to scrap. And, I mean, I just, no. Let the contract, I mean, I understand if, it all comes out in the wash, whether you retain it or the contractor has to dispose of it and he gets to keep the money. I just thought we really didn't, it's not our business. I mean, we're not in that business. It's an extra burden we didn't really need to bear. Let them take care of it.
Put it on my pickup truck and drive it down to the Strand.
I don't know where they're taking. I don't know where they're taking. We do, when the under drains come out, we are retaining those, so stainless steel under drains.
Oh, okay.
We are retaining those and we're taking them to Millens?
Yes.
Yeah. I think Derek and Al, you guys arranged, they have one of those dumpster out there for us. And as they come out, they go in and then they come and they take them and that money will come back to us.
The company that made them don't want them back.
I don't think so.
AT&T cell tower utilization agreement.
As you recall, we approved the agreement. They originally sent an agreement. As you recall, we made changes to it because I wasn't happy with the wording of it. We made the changes. I sent them on to them. They have signed it and they're in order for the signature by the president of the board. They have not been changed. They are appropriate and I present them to you for
And
signature.
this is just for an extension of our current agreement.
Extends the current agreement.
So do we need a motion to accept that?
Actually, the motion's already been made to accept it, just requires your signature.
Okay. Is that my signature or is that the current president? Does it need to be done?
We really haven't approached that, have we? Or you're the acting president now, correct? Tonight's meeting?
Well, tonight I am, I was last month also, yes.
So question on that, Bill. Does there have to be a resolution to name the acting president?
Not for a particular meeting, if the president is resigning, yes. But if the president does not appear, then the next in line, the vice president, or in this case,
The
has
secretary.
been done.
Secretary.
Secretary fills that post. So no, we don't need a resolution tonight.
But in order to...
But in terms of signing
an
in lieu
agreement,
of the president,
I think that the president would have to sign it. I think Mr.
Okay.
Seefer would.
Okay.
okay.
all right.
Track
So
it.
you're
Still the
backing down
president of the board.
or wait till the June meeting when we have an election
A new
for...
election.
I think he can wait.
Okay,
Okay. If I see him,
a month
I'll try to
away.
deal with that.
If he comes in, he can sign, and if he does not,
And if they call, we'll just explain the situation to them.
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
The vehicles.
You read it?
What?
Did you see that?
Yeah.
You got it yesterday.
Oh,
It was today, 11 o'clock.
yeah, no, we've got it, yeah.
Did you go?
No. We applied, but no. Anyway, in our current budget, we have about $75,000 for purchase of vehicles. And the thought was, when we put the budget together, that we would, buy a couple this year and a couple next year. Unfortunately, we purchased them all at the same time, in 2000, all our vehicles in 2007, 2008. And what we used to refer to as Unit 7, the little Jeep Liberty, that's now been recycled because it was worth $5,000 in terms of its book value, and it needed $6,000 worth of repairs. So I called Bill and I said, does that really, what do we have to do? Do we need a motion to declare it surplus? He goes, it's not surplus, it's junk. It's like, good point. So what I would propose for your consideration is that we use the money that we have in the budget to purchase as many vehicles as we can. And then Al has looked into getting a municipal lease for the balance and the payments on that would not be due to 2017. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We would have the option of either beginning
Right.
in 2016, depending on when the loan was closed. But we also would have the option going into 2017 first payment.
So what I've done is I put on the new vehicle marketplace, I put out on what we would refer to as our ER, emergency response van. I put out a spec on that and asked dealers for comment on that, on the specs. That will run us more than your typical pickup truck because we're looking at a more sophisticated body. We're going to buy it. You'd be buying the cab and putting a body on it. Anyway, we wouldn't certainly make any decisions until the June meeting, but we'll use this month to see just how far that $75,000 in the budget goes, and then we'll put together a proposal for a lease, and you'll know the payment on that for the balance of the vehicles that we're going to replace. And we'll bring that back to you next month. We'll do the mini bid packages and see what we get in terms of...
Pretty much what we did last time.
Yeah.
Same thing we did last time.
Correct.
And how many did we lease purchase?
Oh, God.
Well, memory serves correct, 6.
There's a couple of vehicles that we would hang on to. We have a 350 Ford dual wheel, rear wheel, that we would hang on for plowing and towing. My vehicle has just shy of 50,000 miles on it. They need a 4-wheel drive at the plant that they can go to Cooper Lake, and they prefer not a pickup truck. They prefer like my Jeep, and then I would get a passenger car because frankly, if I need to off-road it, I can take one of the trucks or go with somebody else. Most of my driving is around, on paved roads. And if you've ever sat in the back seat of the Jeep, there's no more room in there than there is in the Ford Fusion. I mean, that was the purpose of getting it, that I could take people, out. And the reality is the back seat of that car is no better than a passenger car.
And how much was the cost for that lease purchase agreement for those 6 back then, do you remember?
Okay, it was approximately 30,000 plus a year for the payments, which included principal and interest. And the appropriate lease term is 5 years. That's what they like to keep it within the range of the life of the vehicle, or the life of the merchandise on any loan, really. So that's what I would be pursuing for this transaction as well.
One of the other issues is the dump was paid for this year.
Yes, the dump truck is paid
So the
for.
loan on the lease purchase of the dump truck will be up.
Okay.
And that's one of the things we also considered.
And that's, I know you're going to ask this question next, so that's approximately 17,000 a year.
It's 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah, no, we've had these vehicles for a good long while. Yeah.
Anything else on that one? So you'll bring that back to...
Yes, but in the meantime, we'll be pursuing the mini bids and kind of getting all those things together. And so we'll have some concrete numbers, and then, we'll be able to tell you what those future payments would be. We did have, one of our vehicles was T-boned on Broadway a couple of weeks ago. Somebody was making a U-turn under the underpass.
So one of those pickup trucks?
Yeah, Unit 2.
The driver's side door?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
There's one on the back.
That's the one. Somebody decided that he was going in the wrong direction and decided to make a U-turn and just like drove right into it. Nobody was hurt, that was the good thing.
So we're gonna get that repaired?
We're not gonna. I mean, unless we decide, that vehicle's, I can send it to you, but most of our vehicles have over 100,000 miles on them. That's one of them. That's one of them that only has 68 or 70,000 on it. No, that's not Unit 2. What was that unit? What unit was that?
You're thinking of Unit 12, I think.
No, the one that was hit Wayne's vehicle. That has over 100,000 miles on it, and it really,
But if it's their fault,
we got the payment.
okay, that's, I
We
guess
got-
my point.
Yes, we've
We got the money.
We received reimbursement for 6,200.
Okay, good.
And at this point, I had made arrangements to have the body shop order parts, whatever, and I told them we decided to hold off on that. And so that could be a
Put that money
decision.
into...
We
Exactly.
could add that to what's available for new vehicles.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Good night.
Because I feel that amount actually is approximately or better than the value of the vehicle anyway.
Oh, absolutely, no question.
Yeah,
So-
they didn't,
They didn't total it.
okay.
It's
Pretty
usable.
close.
It's entirely usable. It's just cosmetic.
But the cost didn't exceed the cost of the vehicle.
Al has a pretty good feel for what we'd get if we put those out on
Yes,
bid.
yeah.
And he he's
No, as long as
been
we got
pretty
the
right
money,
about
it's
what
still-
we've
yes,
done.
no.
Yes, we have.
That's fine.
Yes, we have the
Yeah.
reimbursement for it.
Okay. Correspondence?
Nothing, but I have a couple of things that came in since we did the agenda, one of which is hot off the press today. The first are lime bids. We went out for chemical bids on our lime, the hydrated lime that we use to plant. And those came in. Al, do you have those? Because I don't, I wasn't here when
I
you
will
guys
get it.
received them. 3 companies, we sent the bids out, 3 companies responded. One was Surpass, one was Surplus, and I forget the other name. There's a per pound price. We also asked them to certify that it was a certain type of lime and some other things. Only one respondent gave us everything we asked for, so there was only one complete bid package, and that was Slack Chemical was the one that gave us the complete bid package, and they bid 0.199 cents a pound. The low bidder was Surpass, and they bid 0.193. We are not happy with the quality of what they're giving us. We're not happy with their delivery. I mean, the contract clearly says if we place the order, we must have that delivery within 10 days. Doesn't get part of it. We've had to borrow stuff from Port Union. Anyway, it's, very close, and they didn't provide the certifications that we asked for.
The bids were Surpass bid .1966 per pound,
1966.
and Slack Chemical bid .199
Right.
per pound.
And the other guy was 30 cents.
Univar was .3038 per pound.
So he's gonna have, he didn't provide a complete package either.
The only complete package was from Slack.
My recommendation would be that we award it to Slack. The dollar difference are literally fractions of pennies a pound, and we are not happy with the product we're getting currently from Surpass. And Derek has tried to make those corrections. He's voiced his displeasure with them, and nothing seems to change. We have had experience with Slack. They are the current suppliers of our sodium hypochlorite, our liquid chlorine at Bidding Water. And they're an Albany-based firm, at least the distributor, the portion of the company we're dealing with, and we've had pretty good service.
Are they within the amounts that we have budgeted? I mean, your money
Well,
budgeted?
Well, it's less than we're currently paying, is it not?
It's the,
You're taking the lowest responsible bidder, too.
We are, because they didn't give us.
That's your suggestion.
Yes, and because they didn't give us a complete bid package. Because it's a specific type of lime that we need that works well for us, and we specified that. It's a
So the
great.
decision.
Well, if they're less than what we've
it is,
been paying and what we have
we're
budgeted, then
currently paying .1754
Okay. We're up to more.
per pound
Sorry.
and surpass, so
Current
distributor.
distributor. So they went up 20 cents a pound anyway.
So your reason for rejecting that bid, the lowest bid, is not because of their past history, but because it's
They didn't
a
com-
complete bid
That's
package,
correct.
correct?
They didn't provide the certifications that we did.
That's your reason.
What is the type of lime that we buy that is special about it?
It's called Greystone lime. I think it's a site where they get it from.
Okay.
And it's kind of, the other, just, no, you don't put it on corn. The stuff that we originally got, when we didn't specify that, was very, it just, I'm sorry, it didn't go into solution properly.
Okay.
okay, so do we need a motion to accept the bid?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from
Slack.
Slack
Good name.
Chemicals. Really.
I think the guy that owns the company, I think that is his name.
Is there a second to that motion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, okay.
Just to say one thing, I would love to see the purity on that if you're not getting it into solution.
Yeah, no, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's not, and I can send that to you. but-
Okay, that would just be interesting.
Right, we asked for the MSDS sheet and we asked for the certification that it was appropriate, and they just didn't send either of those things.
Okay.
So, yeah. The other issue that we have is the lead issue. Mayor and I have been busy with over the last, well, say yesterday. And I don't, we wanted to do some proactive things. So two of the things that we did, that we're proposing to do, is have an educational forum for homeowners here on May 24th. I think I have people from New York State Health that are willing to come down and do part of that for us and provide some materials. What I'd like to do as part of that is to contract with, say, Smith Labs, people that do our chemical testing for us, our analytical stuff that we need to do. And ask them if we would, to try to facilitate, it's very difficult for homeowners to get their lead at their taps tested, because they don't know where to go, they don't, So I would, and the testing is around $10 a sample, so it's not onerously expensive. So what I would like to make available for a very finite, say 30-day period of time, they can come into the office, pick up a bottle, pay us just pass the cost along to them, so that it's not out of our pocket, and contract the lab. They'd give us the results, we'd send them to the parties and facilitate that for them, because if they do it, if we have enough samples, Smith will come pick them up from us.
But Judy, isn't the problem that the testing that's done by the individual, it's the method the test is taken, the way that it's taken, not just the sample.
That's part of it, and
So
so.
to give this sample to the customer, I explained to Judy the other day that Home Depot now has, when I went to the store down in Georgia, they have a display of lead sample materials that people can take. And there was a column of 4 of them, and there were 3 left. So people are getting these, and they're taking them home But the problem is that you could take I could take the sample not knowing how to take it.
Are these water samples you're talking about, or you're talking like?
Waters for lead.
They're giving kits to test.
Kits.
Home
Home
kits.
kits.
Home
So
tests.
there's a whole host of problems there.
Yeah.
I really don't even, I mean, if they're not certified labs and whatever. I think when you gave, if somebody were interested enough to pay for it, that we would educate them on how the samples should be taken properly, how they take them. I mean, they have to live with the results. They have to take care of the remediation. So if they haven't done it right, it's, we're just helping them to do what they want to know what their exposure is.
And we've tested our system enough to know that it's not the source water and it's not our delivery system. And so, we just want to give the homeowners the opportunity to be educated to the fact that if you are getting lead out of your tap, it's from your internal plumbing.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so, we can tell them that, but if we can help them have the tools to determine that on their own, I think that that's our goal. So we thought by having a public forum to be able to answer questions, and if there's a way for us to make it slightly easier for them to get in touch with a lab, that could be a good role for us to play. And because we don't want to necessarily just say, good luck, find it on your own, because it's just, to get to Smith or to get to some of these other labs, it's just not easy for people.
No, it isn't. And they don't know what the technique to do, and these kits that I'm real skeptical about.
They are, I am too,
Yeah.
I am too.
I'd rather hand them a bottle that says very clearly, run your water for 10 minutes, place it under the faucet, fill it up, cap it, and bring it back within a short period of time so we can get it to the lab.
The holding times on lead are pretty long.
Okay, that's good.
So that's good.
That's good.
That's very good. So it's not like a coliform sample where you have to have it
Yeah.
analyzed within 30 hours of its collection. This is weeks. So you could take a 30-day period, say, come in, pick up the bottle, pay your money, and all samples have to be back to us by this date, because after that, we're no longer going to provide the service. Because I can't tie up the office staff. I mean, they're taking the coliform samples now. I don't know if the town of Ulster has any interest in doing that with us, but, we could maybe do it as a joint community and open up our educational forum to the town of Ulster residents as well.
What about public buildings?
That's the second.
Judy and I have talked about that too.
That's
I
the
mean, I
second thing.
think we want to be able to work together to also check our city buildings, for lead as well, especially in the buildings where we have the public and employees utilizing the water.
Right.
As we know, many of our buildings already have bottled water systems or water fountains, but we want to be able to just make sure that, we have an understanding of how our internal plumbing. I mean, some of our buildings are so old that lead wasn't around back then. But some of them were built during that time where there could be lead, in the internal piping or lead soldering. So we're going to put together a plan, and we've got about a little over half a dozen plus buildings
I
and
bet
some
you
parks.
see the
I saw the
list
list. So we just have to figure out, while the actual expense of having the testing, isn't expensive, it's the amount of time and manpower. And if we're going to do the proper testing, we have to make sure the system is flushed correctly and that it's set at a certain time and people don't use the water for the few hours preceding it. So we just have multiple buildings of different types and parks, and we just have to really make sure that we have a good protocol in place, which is our issue, because we've got multiple, and you all don't have the manpower to do it exclusively yourselves to help us. Really, we has to be a team effort where our staff can assist, and that's where it gets a little harder.
But one of the things in talking to some of the folks in the county was that one thing that they maybe could have done a little bit better is they didn't actually survey the sites ahead of time, the sample sites necessarily. So you really need to take them from a place where if there's brass in, so the hose bib, don't take it out of the hose bib. The hose bib is brass. Brass has got a lot of lead in it. And nobody should be drinking out of the hose bib anyway. So you don't want to use a mixing faucet, because you don't want to have hot water in there, because hot water is going to dissolve more lead than cold water. Nobody should be drinking hot water. I mean, I know people may do that, but all the education is, don't boil that spaghetti from the hot water tap, just start with the cold water. So I think they're not sure there's no clear plan. They're not sure how they actually collected some of those samples. They're starting to question that. So I think we need to learn from them and just make sure that we have unit responsibility on, who's going to go in and survey them, how we're going to do it, and maybe we can't do everything in one day. Maybe we need to spread it out over a month so that, we can make sure that gets done right. Because the worst thing in the world is to get the results and not have any confidence in how accurate they are.
Well, having the people come in to do the educational forum would be very good. And one of the things we should look at having them address is how much lead is absorbed into food when you cook it. Because I myself would have to look at that myself. Because if you have, so you're saying when you have soluble lead compounds in the water, I mean, lead usually is one of those, except for certain ions it prefers to precipitate. So, you know what I mean? Like different things. Like how is it going to be absorbed? I would be interested myself. In fact, like I told you, I'm looking at this a lot lately.
Okay.
For just educational purposes for my students and things like that. So.
Well, no one, from my understanding, talking to the folks at New York State DOH, we're probably the first community that they're aware of that's even going to contemplate this. So they're more than willing to provide materials to us, and I think that Teresa might even, she might send somebody. She's pretty busy, but they certainly have, flush before you brush kind of and stickers and things like that. They're helpful, just to remind people.
Yeah.
So what type of public buildings are we talking about in the site? Do you know how many we're talking about?
In the list of the city that, I just sat, when I was eating lunch today, came up with a list.
Yeah, City Hall, our rec buildings,
Rec's got a ton of them. They got
We do.
more, yeah, they do. DPW's got 4 or 5.
So it's
Fire
basically city-owned
Yes,
buildings, how do you say?
Yep.
Yeah. And just so that, we have some confidence that,
Library be there?
It's not one of our buildings. We can
It's a public
encourage,
building, that's what I'm trying to
yeah, so I
get
think
an
that,
understanding when you say public
right,
buildings.
so we can encourage the library to
do
take
that.
part in our bottle testing program that we do. Where they can run the test for themselves and in their building. So.
Well, I guess it's key, is just talking, is the risk assessment and exposure. Just because you have lead in your water doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be lead poisoned. It has to be a route of ingestion to it in order to have a problem.
and there's more than one source. And then there's the whole idea of drinking water contributes X amount, and what are the other sources? So there's, soils, there's inhalation problems with paint. They say old dishes, because they had lead paint on the dishes.
Leaded glass.
Leaded glass.
Used to,
Anything from China would.
But if you
Oh,
put
yeah.
wine in the leaded glass, it's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Judy and Jim. Both, we were able to meet very quickly on Monday morning, or was it Tuesday morning or whatever?
Monday.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it was Tuesday, I'm
It was Tuesday
sorry.
morning to just discuss this and to, we are connected with the city of Kingston and the town of Ulster, and it just, there was a good amount of communication and coordination that went into that.
There was a joint response.
So if you,
So-
I would have no problem if you guys want to participate into that, and
I'll take it up with John tomorrow.
see what he wants to do, and even the testing of homeowners. I asked Smith for, X amount, and we can make them available.
That's what it's on Jackson. Kevin Silver, release Jackson.
it's interesting, this whole thing. It's like you drink, water from the tap and get lead, or you drink it from plastic bottles and get the other stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
You pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly.
You pick your poison.
Those
So-
cardboard boxes.
Of water. I have a couple of them upstairs. People keep giving them to me, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It was a birthday present. Kind of cool. The last thing is the mikvah.
Good Peter.
We need to maybe amend our resolution from last month. Last month, the idea of we granted permission to Agudas Achim for their mikvah on Lucas Avenue. Since then, there's a couple of wrinkles that came up. Our amendment was contingent upon planning board approval. On building department approval. Because I was under the clear impression from the gentleman from the synagogue that they had planning board approval. They technically did, but not for what they asked of us. So when they went to the planning board and got site plan approval, it was not for a well on the property. That's something that changed between sitting down with Sue Kale in her office, where they were talking about the gutters and catchment, and coming into my office, the well came up. So I had a meeting today. Sue coordinated a meeting with us and the building department, and Joe and Tom was there, and Kyle and Sue and I sat there, and I offered to ask the board tonight to amend our previous resolution to give them permission only if they have planning board approval and building department approval. Because Sue's even questioning now the siting of the well on the property.
Judy, why not, let's not just limit it to those two agencies, that they have approvals as required by the city of Kingston.
That's fine, that's even better.
All approvals as required by the city of Kingston.
Because there's some discussion on that, and Sue was
That
just,
should be a motion to amend the prior motion.
so. And I explained that was not our intention, was to override. I mean, when we were talking to them, I clearly assumed, when I asked them, do you have planning board approval? They said yes. And they really thought that they did, because I don't think they understood the significance of that change. I don't think there was no attempt to deceive or be cute about it. They honestly thought there was, what's the difference?
We want to limit it to just City of Kingston?
And say all government approvals. That's very good.
Because I don't know, it's the county?
It's county.
They don't care.
They
As
don't-
long as they're not gonna drink it, they don't care.
Okay.
So this started with your question, who's gonna pay for the sewer?
Right, and but you still figured that out, yeah.
Well, they're only gonna dump it twice a year and whatever, but that isn't,
Yeah.
but now Tom's concern is internal cross connection, which is a legitimate concern. It can't be my concern, certainly is the building department's concern, on, if you're gonna have potable water in the building and non-potable water in the building, how do you protect the occupants of the building or the visitors to the building from cross connections?
And
Inadvertent.
Right, and again, we don't wanna micromanage the
No.
project, but at the same time, a good question could be, if they're only going to dump it twice a year, why do they need a well? And maybe there are some other reasons why they need a well, but would
Yes.
catchment not be enough,
Yeah.
to fill it twice a year?
I'm
I would think
guessing the
that enough.
attachment from the gutters isn't going to be sufficient,
Well, the-
especially the startup.
Right.
I mean, do we even know how many gallons this,
Well, the other issue is when they went to planning board, it was one mikveh. Now the site plan they gave to the building department has two. The building got bigger. So there's lots of other issues that have nothing to do with the water department. I think if they have all the city approvals, I don't think this board would change their previous motion. But I think they need to have all those approvals first.
okay. So, you need a motion to,
It's a motion made to amend the motion made at the meeting on April 13, 2016, with respect to 253 Lucas Avenue, to change the conditional approval granted by the board, read that the same is conditioned upon approval of all municipal agencies as required, in place of solely the city building department. Is that okay? Is that okay?
It's okay with me, Bill.
or
You have that written down, or you
They just,
No.
just off the head, huh?
Imagine.
Okay.
we have a motion? Second to that?
I'll
You can
second.
notify them.
I will call Rabbi Iken tomorrow and
Second.
explain the change.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Yes.
Thank you, that's all I have.
I'm gonna do this.
Superintendent's report, the last thing on. Actually, have a-
Oh,
That's not word.
no,
Just this.
I just wanted you to have that. Sorry.
I don't see a problem, I'll make the motion, except
Well, I got one question, I
the other
guess.
question.
My little, yeah, you never get past me.
No, but well, you got it this afternoon via email. Okay.
Yeah. just on customer account management meters,
Yeah,
math doesn't add up?
it may not, only because I did it really quick,
Quick.
very late last night.
Okay.
So I will correct that for next month.
There's,
See, Kevin agreed.
you have that number.
Yeah, no, you're right, it doesn't add up.
So it's, I'm guessing that that's a 3,
I'm guessing.
or that's a
Or that,
65.
yeah, either one. No, 68's the right number.
Okay,
I will-
then you must have 3 new accounts.
I must have.
Okay. And then, complaint investigations.
He's doing them, but I don't get the reports because he's been busy, but I will catch them up for next month.
Who normally does this?
Andy, most of the complaints
Or to Andy?
get channeled, because of the nature of what they are, we don't have a lot, but most of them are appearance, case to note, and they actually would go through the lab, or water quality folks. Some of them, the more rudimentary ones, you know, they're handled downstairs.
Okay.
He tells me about them, I only put them in there when I get the paperwork back. And then Jane puts them in a database, so we could actually, you know, track if there's
Okay,
any,
so-
yeah.
Bob has a motion to accept with,
He's correct.
Edits.
Yeah, we won't go through it now.
no,
Yeah,
it is second to that motion?
I second it.
Okay. Those in favor?
all right.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Is that it then? Okay. Guess a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
Oh my God.
I have, those in favor?
All right.
All in favor? Yes, I'm sorry.
Anybody opposed?
Yeah, I'm thinking of something here,
Yeah,
I'm just getting my mind wrapped around this whole.
The lead thing?
Yeah, really interesting, and
Systems
just,
are
I was
right.
just thinking, of course,
Right.
it's gonna be absorbed in the food, if you cook rice or pasta, which absorbs water as it cooks, but, so you have to look at the compounds that are, the lead
We're done.
compounds, and what are they?